Hi, my name's Michael. I'm known as the #1 Monster Pies fan. I'm just doing a small podcast to ask Lee and Lucas a couple of questions. There are likely spoilers to follow, so if you haven't seen the film, please download it or buy it, or rent it, whatever, and watch it prior to listening to this. So Lee, where did you come up with the title of Monster Pies?
There's the intro of the film where the two brothers are making monster pies, and that's something me and my twin brother used to do when we were little. And and I just thought I really wanted a different title that just, wasn't like Two Boys in Love, or I just wanted something really unique. And it just came to me one day, because I'd already written the story and had different titles, and then I went, Monster Pies. I was like, that's it.
The original character's name was Victor.
Yeah.
Lee said you came up with the name of Will. Where did that come from?
I don't know whether it was. I think I was watching A Knight's Tale, and I think his character's William, and Heath Ledger's character's William.
Okay, yeah.
And I like the sound of that, and for some reason Victor just didn't sound. It was like sort of around the time of Twilight, I think, which is why you had Victor.
Yeah.
Like an olden day sort of name, but I sort of just put down a short list of all these names that I said, and then I think I came to you and said the one William, and you said, I was actually thinking of that name as well. Yeah. And it just sort of seemed like it was a bit more. I don't know. I just didn't believe the name Victor. just to be paired with someone called Mike, and it didn't make any sense.
Yep.
So that sounded good.
Well, we both went away, and we both had we made lists, and we both had Will on the list, or William.
Yeah.
So we went. Then he had a few, I had a few, but that seemed like the right one. And then it kind of no one's ever questioned whether it came from William Shakespeare, but it didn't. But
oh yeah, I never thought.
yeah. Okay. But I always think that someone's gonna ask me that, but no one ever asked me.
Yeah. Well, on that topic of Romeo and Juliet, when did you come up with the concept of Romeo and Juliet?
Was in high school, and I remember studying it, and I remember being in class going, there should be a boy and boy version, and that would be really different. And then, and I started writing this book, and because I was only 14, 15 at the time, had to write it and then hide it under my mattress so that no one could, because it would pretty much out me. And then, and then I just I wrote 60 pages, but there was a line, like a gap of what do you call that? I don't know, there's a line in between, so there was a space. It wasn't like a big story, but and it had, it pretty much loosely was, had the suicide and it had all this other stuff, but it was also very, just heaps more darker, and there was things that, I just thought that people would just hate the film if I did it like that. So I'm glad. Looking back, I was like, I was a bit of a dark teenager, so I lightened it up a bit.
Before working on the film, did you have any exposure to gay or queer culture?
No, not at all. I think Lee's definitely the first gay friend I've ever had.
Yay!
But no, not at all. And I always said to Lee, was sort of a bit, I couldn't believe I sort of, agreed to it. But not because of any reason other than I just had nothing to do with anything like that before. And and then that's around the time before leading up to the filming, you gave me Brokeback Mountain on DVD to watch. That's just the go-to. But I watched that, and Lee was telling me about other gay cinema and how it's sort of, he reckons this one's going to be better, and how it will be better, and things that it's going to do differently than other ones. And that is appealing, to do one that would stand out from the rest.
So when you played the character, was there any inspiration you used for the characterization?
A little bit, only in, from Brokeback Mountain, what I took away from it was just the commitment from the actors, really. So just if you're going to do it properly and put everything into it, otherwise it'll look silly. So that's pretty much what I took away from it there.
Can I ask you a question, Mike?
Yes.
I was always going to do this. Mike didn't know. Come on, Mike!
Why am I so connected to Monster Pies?
Ooh.
It's almost like a little bit of history. I really connected to it on a whole variety of levels. Number one, cinematically, it's just, I think, really clever. It's such a simple little film. It's really elegantly told. But the characters are so involved and so real. It took me back to when I was at school, which is a long time ago. Plus, it was that crush on the straight boy in the class, which I think you can relate to, which was actually the next question.
Yeah.
And it really connected with me on a whole heap of levels. I think the humour in it's really clever, and it sucks you right into the story before what happens at the end. And yeah, I love the music. I think the music's absolutely brilliant. It's like a character in the film. But the chemistry between you and Tristan in the film really works as well, and it just sucked me in. Totally fell for it.
And you cried all the way home on the train in front of all football people.
No, it was the
What was it?
Grand Prix.
Ah.
And I got on the tram leaving the theatre, went home and cried the whole way home on the tram. And no one spoke to me.
And
They just looked at me, and there were French people sitting opposite me in their jerseys from the thing, looking at me and talking about me in French.
And it was like a 40-minute train ride.
Yeah.
45
Yeah.
minutes.
And I got home, and poor Pete he was subjected to it.
I can't even blow my nose on a tram, let alone cry for 45
silently
minutes.
for 40 minutes.
Alright.
So there we go. So that's the connection.
Sorry for embarrassing you. You can go
No,
back to your
it's
chair.
Thank you, Master. Can you tell us something about the real men in your life that Will was based on?
Oh well, there was a boy at school I had a crush on, and I think when I met Lucas, he had that same kind of, I guess, softness to that person, and I was just like, oh, I already knew he was the character. Came to audition, he walked into the kitchen. I didn't even know if he could act. I hadn't even screen tested him. I went, this is it. This is the guy. Spoke to him for about, I think I'm off tracking, but I'll get back to the question. But I spoke to him for about a good hour.
Yeah.
And I just said in the back of my head, I have to convince this boy he needs to be in this film, because I think at the time he barely ever done a short film, and wasn't really sure whether acting was his thing, and I was just like, he needs to do this film. And then usually when people come to audition or meet me, I get them direct lines and I film it, and then I take that footage away and show the a cameraman or a friend or something, and get the kind of okay or yes or no or whatever. And yeah, I didn't even do that because I already knew he was right for the part. But then everyone's like, well, where's the footage? And they're like, I didn't film anything. So we got him back again, and I was even more nervous because I'd already told everyone I'd found the character, to play Will, but Victor at the time. But I didn't know if he could act, but then he did. When we put the camera on him, not only could he act, he was amazing, and we were just like, oh my god.
What was your impression of being cast in the film?
I was
Remember that audition?
yeah, I was really nervous. It was at your sister's house,
No,
wasn't
it was that was the second time when you
Oh, the
met
second
Tristan
time. Oh, okay,
at
yeah,
Lawrence
yeah.
and
That time I was really nervous because I knew you wanted to try and get me to cry.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh god, I don't remember that.
And
You
I
didn't
shot
though.
films before. Nah, but I was upset.
Oh, no, this is good. This is good.
I'm not doing anything interesting.
You don't have to say something.
Can I get you something to drink?
What have you got?
I got Diet Coke, full Coke, or Hawaiian Punch.
Full Coke would be good.
Because
Yeah.
you were cast late in the whole process, weren't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was probably like, was it May? No, maybe.
Yeah.
April,
Well,
May.
you went away like a month later.
It was
or
April,
two.
May, yeah, I went away in June, and I came back, and I went away in July, I came back in like September, and then started filming like a month and a half later. After
Well,
that.
we started like the start of November.
Yeah, but no,
Our-
I was really nervous before that. Yeah.
Well, we had to try to. I had to. I mean, when you doing an independent film and you hire someone who doesn't really know you, like you have to try and build a friendship really quickly because you don't have any contracts and they could just walk off at any time. And I just wanted him to trust me and believe in the film. And so I only had, and because he went away for a big chunk of that time, and we did, I just tried to speed that thing along. But on set, like Lucas just helped me so much. There were so many. We didn't have a continuity person, which was and he always knew when there was a continuity error, and he would tell me, especially when sometimes we were short for time, and I'd be like, I'm going to cut this scene, I'm going to cut this scene out of the script, and he'd be like, well, the next scene after this scene we're doing, it's not going to work now, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, and so we would then come up with this. I'd come up with a scene to go in the middle of the two, and it was like, oh perfect. So I think I would have had a really hard time editing the film had he not picked up on some of these problems.
That's good. What's the difference between the theatrical version and the DVD release?
Good question. We had the teachers who perform on stage. You get to see the whole thing, which is them singing, and we had a song. It was cool. It was funny. It was cool, but we didn't own. I couldn't afford the rights to that song by the time it was going to get released on DVD, and it was just ridiculous. So I had to I had to insert some score music and carry it from when the mum answers the phone about the son not being at work anymore, and then let that music kind of slowly creep into the next scene, and then build up and take over the whole scene. So in a way it's kind of better because the Moscow song was a bit silly and people were like, what's happened here? The film's just taken a turn. But I think the way I've done it now for the DVD release, it keeps the film nicely grounded and gets you prepared for what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Is there a running time difference between the two versions?
Yeah, it's like I think I cut 2 minutes out because of that scene, and then there were other scenes that I just snipped away at.
From the first cut, it wasn't like you'd taken like 10 minutes or something.
Oh yeah, there's 3 versions. We had the first cut, which we had a test screening for, which was way before it got premiered, and there was a big scene which is on the DVD with Janine and Mike making up at the end of the film, so that got cut because we felt there was too many closure scenes, and I did snip away about 10 minutes from that. And you've seen that version.
Yep.
Feels longer?
It is.
Yeah.
It's different. The pacing's quite different, particularly in the first half of the film.
Well, that was my goal. Like, after the screening, I went home and I went, ugh, because I remember sitting we're in a really hot, on the top of a nightclub on the 3rd level. It was a really hot night. Everyone was sweating and stuff, but I just remember feeling the first 20 minutes a lot, like how boring it was, and I just so I just kept trimming and trimming. So like some of the classroom stuff with Miss Green went on a bit longer, and there was the bathtub scene which is on the DVD as well, and just had to get the film going. And I thought
you can't really tell those things until you put it in a room with everyone watching it. And then everyone starts, you sort of sense their boredom as well.
Yeah, you feel the boredom, you feel the silence, and I think it's all good.
What was the most challenging scene to film for you? I mean, there's the pool.
Yeah.
Acting in water can't be easy.
Especially when you got $100 an hour that you had to do it quickly.
Oh, really?
I was paying $100 an hour for that.
For the
venue.
location. Yeah.
Cool.
And I rushed.
Yeah.
Tristan felt really rushed.
I'd probably say the first scene. The first scene, the scene where Mike and Will go to the hotel for the night and spend the night together, sleep together. Only because, basically, it's obviously the only time I kissed a guy, and also that was like, I think.
Oh, that's the first kiss you did.
Yeah, it was like the second day of shooting.
He suggested, let's shoot the motel room scene for really early in the shoot, and we did it on pretty much
It was
day
like,
2.
yeah, we shot on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday night we went and did the hotel thing, and that was
Mm.
the reason for that was like just like let's just break the ice. That's just instead of having the anticipation like of a month and a half later doing this,
I know.
just get out of the way and it's done now. And then everything else in that is pretty,
But it wasn't their
Breeze.
big kiss, so I think it was alright. It was just the kind of like
Yeah.
kiss on the lips and
yeah, it was just sort of like it was going to be a.
because he's never kissed a boy. Nah, I'm joking. He's never. But I think neither of them had kissed a boy at the time. So, but they looked.
Although Tristan had, because Tristan had to do a test scene with the guy who was going to play.
Ah,
Victor
yes.
Oliver.
We actually, that scene he's talking about in the motel, we did a test. It's,
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it.
Test footage.
It was, test footage.
Test
with the guy who was
screen,
gonna
and
play.
Tristan and the other guy who was originally cast as the lead, we just wanted to test them out, see if there was chemistry. And yeah, so Tristan had to kiss him, and then that guy left. And then yeah, so.
And that was the footage you showed me of. Like, this is
Yeah,
what-
when he
this is
came
what-
to audition, I kind of was just like, at the point, I was a little bit annoyed that we kind of lost our lead actor, and I was kind of didn't want to be stuffed around by anyone, even though I thought he was really good. I was like, I'm going to show him this video footage of, these two boys in the bedroom, in a hotel, kissing, and if it scares him, then don't bother doing this movie. But he didn't flinch. I was
And
like,
that ended up actually being, that was a lot more risque than
Yeah.
anything that we did in the film.
that was
anyway.
much more raunchy.
Yeah.
And this, I don't know, but there was actually no nudity,
No.
but it was
More implied, like it was.
like, there was like, they were stripping each other's clothes off, and it was, but I liked how it ended up coming out in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the M version versus the PG version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but the
don't
PG
know.
version works really well.
Yeah, I reckon it's probably more. It's probably more straight friendly.
Straight friendly.
Yeah, but then I like just to it's not as
Well, I never wanted any of the nudity or the sex in the film, or anything like that to make anyone uncomfortable, and
that's sort of how Lee pictured to me in the start, which was the difference between other gay cinema and stuff like that. It was more about the story and the relationship rather than
focusing on sex and
the sex sake.
yeah.
Well, I also like the fact that gay isn't even mentioned in the film. It's just
Yeah.
not even
Yeah.
part of the
That's true.
concept.
Yeah,
of
we
it.
didn't use the word gay.
Yeah.
Petra did say, "What are you, a homo or something?"
Yeah, I'm a bully. I think the bullies have a few nasty things.
Faggot.
Yeah, that's right.
It's funny, when we shot the homo scene with Tristan and Petra in the video shop, when we started early that morning, we started shooting all the stuff with the video shop guy, what's his name, James Liotta, and Dan Farmer, who played Gary, and the video shop was closed at the time. But then we went into the back room to shoot all Ursula's stuff, and by then he had to open the video shop. So there's all these customers running around, and she's going, "What are you, a homo or something?" And she just did, we had to do it take after take after take. And, oh God, it was so funny. Like, I was a bit like, I hope they don't think we're homophobic or something. Like, anyway.
The camera crew probably gave it away. You're probably filming a movie.
This one's for both. What has surprised you the most since the first screening?
You can take that first.
Probably the reaction from everyone, which is all you could hope for, really. There's been a lot of positive sort of mail and that stuff coming in, like on Facebook and to Lee and that sort of stuff, just about performances in it, and also like just the film itself and how it's related to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to be getting like
The ratio is really off. It's like 5-to-1 fan mail.
no, just to get like an email from someone in Germany or someone from London who's
Yeah.
seen this film that we made and said, and like
I
so it
know.
makes all the
It's always like greetings from
from some country.
England or London or something, and it was like, oh.
It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. It makes it sort of worth it, all the putting the money into it and the
Yeah.
late nights that you spend like getting.
Because what would
messages
happen
from
is
5
like,
a.m.
yeah, because I do like late edit sessions, like I'll do all-nighters or doing sound mixes, like just trying to fix sound or colour or whatever, and then I would like remember to tell Lucas something, and I'd send him an email like 5 o'clock in the morning, but he'd be getting up to go to work because he's, you know, and he'd see, he's like, what's Lee doing up? Like, and he's like, oh, he's done another all-nighter. So I didn't stop working till once it was shot. It just kept, you
There's
know.
always a problem too. It seemed like every 3 days, like
Well-
someone was screwing us over or something. Like,
But let
demanding
me
money
explain,
or-
like, Lucas saw a rough edit after shooting and decided to come on and invest money. So he became one of the executive producers, and through him investing it was like a third of our budget kind of, I was just like, is that right?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just said, well, I'll involve him more, like I'll kind of
Yeah.
like through the process of producing a film, and then he saw how it can be very stressful because it was always if it wasn't one thing was going wrong, it was something else, and once we fixed, and I'd ring him up and be like, Lucas, this is not working out, and then he'll be like, I'll fix it and I'll do this, and then it was just one after the other and it just wouldn't stop, and he just said to me once, if this is what producing is like, I'm not ever doing it ever again. And I was like, well, this is pretty normal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Then it started having wins at the end.
Well, once the film
Started
came
coming
out
together.
and we got some really, really big responses, and especially even you know what, I tell you, the first time it was screened, we had a Q&A, and pretty much no one left the cinema. I was like, what? Because I've been to Q&As and half the cinema heads out, but they all wanted to know who we were, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, it was Pina Chiteri. She's at the back of the Yeah, Pina, she got her first album, and she let me use all the songs. I used all of them but 3.
What's the reaction like since the DVD's coming up? I think that's
Well, I want to add to that. We get a lot of mail and I don't know. You got Facebook, you've got YouTube, comments.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you're watching this. Yeah. It's pretty
yeah.
cool. It's pretty cool.
I think the ironic thing is it's going to happen for years as people discover the film. It's just going to have a life of its own.
Yeah. Well, there's been so many. There's been a few gay films that I've seen that I've really identified with and loved and have kept with me all my life. You know, or kept, just not, held them close to my heart in a way. And I don't know. I always thought, what's the mystery behind having a really good film like that, where people will want to buy the DVD, want to talk to the actors, want your autograph, all that stuff, and I just can't believe I've made one of those films, because, and it's fun, even just yourself being a big fan and wanting the costumes, like, I think that's awesome, like, because it means we did something really special, so,
Well done. So, what's up next? Any plans for 2014?
Isn't this 2014?
Yeah, the rest of it.
What are you up to, Lucas, in 2014?
I've just been trying to get a bit more acting work, I guess. Just been auditioning for short films and that sort of stuff, and I've done a couple. And I've got a small scene in Neighbours that's on television this week, which would be cool. And I've been getting auditions here and there for various things, so just doing that, and the day job as well. That's it. Running away.
Yes. Well, I'm writing my next film, which is called The Neon Spectrum, and I'm just, I came up with a story, I think it was like 11, 12 years ago, and it was something I wanted to make first up, but my twin brother said it was going to cost too much money, and so he said, write a little indie film, so I wrote Less Adolescent, which was good because I could
Hone the skills.
hone in on the skills, and which I did, which took it over to Monster Pies, and Less Adolescent didn't make any money, so we couldn't really then make a big film, and then we got to Monster Pies, and even though it hasn't made an astronomical amount of money, I kind of think, well, we've got the exposure, we've got the fans, and we can do it, and we've got investors, and we've got, and so yeah, so and I'm working with a friend who had worked on my last 2 films, and we're breaking down the story, we're breaking down each character, and I'm just really loving what I've got, and I'm trying to do something really different, something very, very different, but it's all set in Melbourne at night time, and we're and it's a female lead, which is cool, which I've never had, and yeah, and there you go.
What inspired you to make films?
There were films like Pulp Fiction, and then Magnolia, Requiem for a Dream, things like that, and then, yeah, that was like, oh. But I think a huge one was seeing what Peter Jackson did with Heavenly Creatures, and I was just like, oh, and just knowing that how close we are to New Zealand, and I just thought, oh my God, this is amazing, and I thought, if he can do that there, I can do that here. So, and I always wanted to send in Monster Pies, because that's when I started writing Monster Pies around the time that film came out, and I'd love to send in a copy and say, you inspired me. So thank Peter Jackson.
Or blame him.
Or blame him if you hate it. But,
And any particular film or actor inspired you to act?
I do like, not to just say the entire cast of The Dark Knight, but Heath Ledger and Christian Bale. I've always liked watching their films, only because of how Heath used to get into the character and the sort of characters they used to play, and always sort of really had great presence, and it's always fun to watch their films. So I'd probably say them.
I think that's how I convinced him to be in this film, because I kept referring back to Brokeback Mountain and like how Heath Ledger took a huge risk in his career, and that's what got him the role in The Dark Knight. And I said, if you take this risk, it could pay off.
You're going to be a superstar.
You're going to be a superstar. It was Twinkle Bit. No, but yeah, yeah. So it's good. Well, I guess people like, and it was Heath Ledger's birthday a couple of days ago, and but it's like people like him who he took risks, even though he didn't have to. He could have just made lots of rom-coms and just used his good looks, but so I think it's good to have someone like that inspiring other actors.
Where did you meet Pina, who did the music?
Good question. She was a friend of my twin brothers, and then I was living on top of a pub in Footscray, and then she came to visit me and liked where I lived and said, oh, I can live here too, and then we became close. She started playing music in her room, and I'd be like, Pina, you're so good, and she was like, oh, and she would never show anyone the music, and then yeah, it just took years and years and years to her, and I said, you've got to have an album, you've got to get yourself out there, and we just synced, like we ended up living in other houses together, and I had this film and she had her album getting released, and it was just in sync, and she said, use whatever you want, but when we went to shoot, we'd already knew we were going to use Love to Love at the school dance, and we knew she was going to sing Oh Baby at the school dance, but because when they were doing the behind the curtain, we played the song whilst they were, so they could get the rhythm right or whatever it is. And yeah, but then she said, use whatever you want, and I think I used, out of the 13 tracks or 12 tracks, I used 10 or something for the do, yeah, so it was good.
Well, thank you for taking the time, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure and an honour.
Thanks,
and
Mike.
keep up the good work.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, like, we kind of did this video because for the 1 year anniversary of since the premiere at Melbourne Queer Film Festival, and just to thank all the fans and for all their support, and because it was, yeah, it's overwhelming. So, yeah, we thought we'd give them something extra. Yeah.
Well, thanks guys, that's been great. Thanks to all the fans as well for supporting Monster Pies and supporting these guys. And thank you, it's been both a pleasure and an honour to do this interview. hope you've enjoyed it.